Horrors on Onlyfans. By Farrell McGuire? Yeah, let's tap in. Let's see what we got.
Like many other women, Italy's Carol Maltese had first signed up for the website OnlyFans in 2021 at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. The decision had come after lockdowns had put an end to the string of odd jobs which had sustained her for the previous 4 years. While less than 1% of creators on the platform end up garnering a large enough audience to turn it into a full-time career, Carol was the exception. She was able to achieve a significant following, and her content quickly evolved from spontaneous home videos to professionally produced uploads no different than the sort of stuff you would see put out by big studios, some of which she'd also end up doing work for. Adult content had granted Maltese a true sense of financial independence, one that she was planning to use to relocate to the city of Verona near the end of 2021 so she could be closer to her son, who'd long been living with his father. This plan, however, would never come to fruition. Carol appeared to have changed her mind at the beginning of 2022. Her social media presence would slow down greatly, and she'd tell her family that she was planning to instead move to Dubai. While she would continue to have conversations with friends and fans alike, she'd stop posting new photos and videos to her various social media profiles. She'd eventually tell those close to her that she intended to leave the world of adult content behind entirely. Her family grew concerned about her. She kept in contact with them over text but began to refuse her calls. The father of her son became especially suspicious when she refused to video call their child on his birthday, something he considered to be incredibly unusual behavior. As the Malteses were really—
Don't tell me this is the story of a girl who got into this life, got some cash, got some quick fame, got a whole bunch of shit, and then she was taken somewhere where she was sold a dream by these fucking Dubai princes, and they turned her into a yacht poopy girl. Please don't tell me she turned into a yacht poopy girl.
Trying to come to terms with the sudden distance between them and Carol. A man driving along a mountain road outside the village of Palina di Bono would notice a group of garbage bags strewn about the side of the road. It wasn't completely out of the question for local residents to occasionally dispose of their household trash in this inconsiderate manner, but there was something about these bags that made the man stop to investigate them. He noticed something odd sticking out of one of them. He couldn't make out what it was from the road, but as he got closer, he saw that it couldn't be anything other than a human hand. Soon enough, police officers were all over the narrow strip of road, which was now a crime scene. While the victim's face had been burned beyond recognition, there were several tattoos that could potentially aid in the identification of the body, a task that would be taken up by journalist Andrea Tortelli. He's the editor of local online newspaper bsnews.it. He had received a tip about the unidentified corpse and managed to get his hands on some—
So did this happen in Dubai? Am I tripping, or did she never even make it to Dubai? Like,
photos of the tattoos. Through another tip from a helpful commenter, Andrea would manage to find a match for the tattoos, an adult actress named Charlotte Angie, the stage name used by Carol Maltese. Through some more sleuthing, Tortelli would manage to get a hold of Carol's WhatsApp number, and he'd be surprised when Maltese actually responded to his message. She was trying to assure the reporter that she was indeed alive and well, but Andrea wasn't convinced. He requested a voice note from Carol, and she sent him one, but it was completely silent. Tortelli would document all of this to hand over to the police, and he'd also write a series of articles about his investigation while the police carried out their own. We don't know exactly how the authorities managed to figure everything out. The details here aren't publicly known.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm hearing this story, and it's like he's saying stuff, but it's just like I'm confused. We're confusion. Chat needs help. Explain. Like, was she a yacht poopy girl, and then she got caught up in some stuff, and that's how she, like, come on.
Regardless, on March 29th, investigators would reveal that they had cracked the case, and we'd finally learn everything. In 2020, before Carol had even thought about producing adult content, she'd enter a brief romantic entanglement with bank employee / food blogger Davide Fontana. He was 17 years her senior and had messaged her on Instagram after her profile had caught his eye. It was an on-again, off-again relationship, but it would drive Davide to move not just to the same suburb as Carol, but even into her apartment building, becoming her neighbor near the end of 2020. When Maltese began producing adult content, Davida would even help her film it, and he'd occasionally perform in the scenes himself. Near the end of 2021, Carol began receiving requests for custom content on her OnlyFans profile from an anonymous user named Tombeau de Femme, French for womanizer. This is something you can do on OnlyFans. Users have the ability to pay creators to produce custom content made just for them, usually for exorbitant prices. The anonymous nature of this profile wasn't unusual either, as OnlyFans subscribers aren't exactly eager to fill out their profiles with identifiable personal information. The odd thing about Tombeau de Femme's requests, however, were their extreme nature. I can't get into specifics here, but they were much more rough than the sort of—
Are these chats not monitored? Like, I understand, like, sometimes when you're, and I understand not from personal experience. No, this is not that. No, I'm not one of those bulls. But there's this thing, this common misconception that everybody on OF that's like the big people, they're not literally talking to each and every one of their what do you call them, subscribers? They're not talking to their subscribers about what's going on or like what they do or taking their requests personally. Like, don't they have teams? Don't they have people put in place that, you know what I'm saying, are literally dedicated to answering requests and talking to these guys that they're fucking getting paid these chats to talk to and shit like that? Like, don't they have, like, if she was big on the platform, you would think that she has like a OF management team or somebody who's overseeing these things. So if somebody texts you, I need you to do something unconventional, I'll pay you well. No, nigga, I am not. No, what are you talking about?
Content Carol normally produced. In early January, she'd receive a request from this subscriber that was particularly out there. It involved Maltese tying herself up and putting a hood over her head. Fontana would offer to help her out with this odd scene. After setting up the camera and hitting record, a brief moment of hesitation would occur. Instead of proceeding with the scene as described by the user, Davida would instead grab a hammer. You see, the OnlyFans user requesting this content was none other than Davida Fontana himself. He had used OnlyFans requests as a particularly sinister form of femicide, one that involved his partner helping to set herself up for her own murder. For 2 months after carrying this out, Davida would keep Carol's digital presence alive, impersonating her right to the faces of her family, friends, and fans, while her body was in his freezer. 2 months later, he would ultimately dispose of her remains in the mountains of northern Italy on March 20th.
So that was all a facade. She never even left to Dubai to be a poopy girl. I'm not even trying to disrespect, but you know what I'm saying? But that's crazy. So the person that she had a brief, you know what I'm saying, entanglement with, what the dude said, like, you gotta pick up on the red flags. The moment that, you know what I'm saying, you deal with somebody briefly and then y'all fall out, or, you know what I'm saying, it was just like a casual hookup or whatever, and that person start finding every way possible to get around you. They even go as far as moving next to you. That gotta set off some type of red flags in here, right? That's insane.
Be discovered the next day, kicking off the process that would lead to him getting arrested just over a week later. Police would conclude that Davida had murdered Carol over her decision to move to Verona to be with her son. He had been obsessed with her since the moment they made contact, and if he couldn't have her, then nobody could. It would take another year for Fontana to stand trial, after which he'd be found guilty of aggravated voluntary homicide and the destruction and concealment of a corpse. He'd be slapped with 30 years in prison, a controversial sentence. For what?
This nigga only got 30 years. You see what I mean? You see what I mean? Nigga literally, he killed a woman because she wanted to leave him to go be with her son, and he got 30 years. Like, me personally, I believe if you're able to take a life, and I'm not even talking about like out of self-defense. Obviously, the murder charge varies. You know what I'm saying, people murder people out of certain situations, certain circumstances. Sometimes they're defending themselves. Sometimes It happens by accident. I get it. But in cases like this where people, it's literally premeditated. Literally people are going out their way to do harm, and not just do harm, but to take another person's life. Why should they not give their own life in jail? You know what I'm saying? They should be spending life in prison, life in jail, life locked up, throw away the key, never to be seen again, never to be heard from ever again. That's insane.
Whatever reason, the judges ruled that there wasn't any significant organization or premeditation to the murder. They'd also state that Fontana was uninhibited due to Maltese supposedly leveraging the relationship to further her adult career. This would spark a huge backlash in Italy, with critics lambasting the courts for essentially ruling that Davita's emotional turmoil was somehow Carol's fault, and using that to play down the clearly heinous murder he had meticulously planned out. This case would go through a series of appeals that would both give out and overturn a life sentence several times, with the last update being yet another overturn of his life sentence occurring in February 2026. Because of this, the sentence is still unresolved, and Fontana remains in jail, awaiting his fate to this day. The case of Carol Maltese is the only known time a custom request on OnlyFans was specifically used to facilitate someone's murder, but it's far from the only absolutely wild thing that's happened on the platform. I've done many videos like this in the past where I base everything around a particular website, so scary. I'm no stranger when it comes to taking a peek at the seedy side of online platforms. But let me tell you, OnlyFans did shock me with the sheer variety of stories and just the general ickiness of it all. I think the platform has this reputation of being the quote-unquote safe avenue of producing adult content professionally, and maybe it is to a certain degree, but believe me,
I wouldn't say OF is safe. Like, I personally believe OF is probably one of the most, it's all of them. They're all unsafe. Because you got OF giving 100%, you give 100% power to the amateur creator, and a lot of these people are doing stuff unregulated, you know what I'm saying, untested, it's not safe. Like, none of it is safe. And I'm not even trying to advocate for you just going the regular route, because they're using women, they're bringing the women in, using them, spitting them out. Like, none of this shit is safe. You know what's safe? Not being in the adult industry at all. That's safe. Like,
every possible peril you can think of when it comes to this often dangerous field of work seems to surround OnlyFans as well. And not only that, the unique parasocial nature of the platform has led to completely new kinds of horror stories as well, much like that first case we just talked about, and much like this next one. Tomosa Noor, 29-year-old Michaela Ryler-Stam of Escondido County, California, was your ordinary suburban housewife. Married to insurance agent Brandon Ryler-Stam, the couple had 3 children together. What many didn't know, however, was that Michaela was anything but a housewife. In fact, she had a very active career, just one that she kept under wraps. She had been running a massive stripper agency called SingCal Entertainment, managing over 50 erotic entertainers, both female and male. Not only that, but she herself advertised her own services under the pseudonym Ashley SingCal, working as a high-end escort for roughly a decade. Like many in her line of work, she would gravitate towards the popular new platform OnlyFans, opening an account sometime in the early 2020s. She already had a very active social media presence, so it was a natural tool to add to her wheelhouse. Like basically all of her peers, she would take requests to produce custom content. She would also occasionally make use of her escort work to produce videos to sell behind a paywall, often to the eager chagrin of whoever had hired her. In March 2023, 55-year-old Michael Dale would stumble across Michaela's OnlyFans profile. He became infatuated with her, paying her over $11,000 over the course of just a few weeks for their online communications and in-person meetings.
$11,000 over a few weeks, gang. See, and this is what fucks my mind up, because it's like the niggas with money are lame as shit. But I'm broke. I'm broke. But the niggas with the money are lame. Come on, man.
Dale's desires were unconventional, to say the least. The things he wanted Michaela to do to him were downright strange. Along with wanting his whole body to be wrapped in saran wrap like a mummy, many of his requests involved using Gorilla Glue on various parts of his body. Michaela would later state that this was her first foray into this particular realm in her field of work, but she gladly fulfilled Michael's requests. Her husband even encouraged her, as Dale had been a high-paying customer. She also used these encounters to diversify the content she offered on her OnlyFans profile, with Michael being happy to play a part in her videos. On April 17, 2023, Dale had once again paid for Michaela's company. When she showed up at his place around 6 p.m., she would find that Michael was drinking and was visibly intoxicated. The activities of that evening were particularly unhinged, possibly being influenced by Michael's altered state of mind. He once again asked to be completely wrapped in saran wrap, but this time he also wanted his arms bound and duct tape adhered around his mouth and the rest of his face. The danger came, however, when a plastic—
How kinky is too kinky? Like, don't get me wrong, you know what I'm saying? If you in this line of work, or even if you're not in this line of work, say if you have a partner that's like just into like the most kinky, the most aggressive, the most niche, like, you know what I'm saying, intimate things. At some point you're gonna have to say no. I cannot tie you up. I cannot gag and ball you. I'm not restricting your body or your movements. I'm not putting you in saran wrap and duct taping your mouth and your nose and your eyes. I'm just not doing that. Like a lot of people, you just gotta say, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Because then in these situations you do stuff and then like there, like, it seems to be no limit. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I felt good. I felt good from you doing that. Let's take it further. And just like, how far are we gonna take this? Come on.
The big bag was placed over Michael's head, which also ended up getting adhered to his frame with duct tape. All while this was happening, Michaela had a camera set up in the corner and was filming everything. Supposedly, in the video, Dale eventually stops responding to her verbally, but Michaela just kept going. At one point, Michael's roommate walks into the room. I want to take a second to highlight how unimaginably creeped out Michael's roommate likely felt in this moment. He had actually only known Dale for a few days, with him only moving into his apartment just 5 days before Michaela came over. He likely had no idea the sorts of things his new roommate was into. Imagine, you get a new roommate and one night he tells you he's having a lady friend over. You hear some strange sounds, so you decide to see what's going on. And you're met with your roommate bound and wrapped up like a victim in an alien movie, and a woman is playing disc jockey with herself next to him. In the video, the roommate apparently pleaded with Michaela to stop, which would lead to her calling 911. When the police arrived on the scene, they would find that Dale was not breathing. He'd be brought to the hospital where he was pronounced brain dead, being removed from life.
Brain dead. Brain dead gooner. Because you wanted to be too freaky deaky. You wanted to push the envelopes of freakiness. You wanted to push the envelopes of kinkiness. And now you're a vegetable. This is why you just like, I'm saying, some people, they try to warn you. You know what I'm saying? When you start discovering things about yourself and you like, all right, this is too crazy that I'm into. Like, I can't just talk to anybody about this. Like, I'm not into the regular stuff. I'm into the super aggressive, the super, you know what I'm saying, taking it too far stuff. That's where you need to get help. You need to get help. Because then you could end up like this, where you're just pushing the envelope further and further and further, and then eventually you can't come back from this. Like, literally, he's a vegetable. He can't come back.
Life support just 1 day later. With Dale's cause of death being ruled as asphyxia due to the plastic bag being placed over his head, Michaela would be charged with second-degree murder.
How? I'm pretty, like, I'm hoping that they, like, it's recorded that he asked for this. Like, she literally did, like, he paid her to do a request that he asked for. She accepted the transaction and went through with it. And he died in the progress. How was that her fault?
It wouldn't happen right away, though. The investigation would take a full 2 years, with Michaela only being arrested in early 2025.
Also, she just a day after my birthday? She literally just got arrested last year. That's crazy.
The prosecution argued that Michaela had acted with implied malice, not necessarily intending to kill Dale, but acting with the knowledge that what she was doing was putting his life at risk. The fact that she filmed herself
that he requested. He wanted this.
paddling the pink canoe while Dale was slowly fading away next to her likely didn't help, and neither did the photos she sent to her husband of his final moments. In May 2026, Michaela would take a plea deal, pleading guilty to 1 count of involuntary manslaughter. She'd earn only 4 years in prison, which may be reduced further as the court is still considering the time she already served in jail. Part of what apparently influenced this tiny sentence was the remorse Michaela seemed to display. To all involved in this case, she seemed to greatly regret how that night had gone. She wrote letters apologizing to Dale's family and gave a tear-filled statement to the court upon her sentencing, stating,
"It needs to be said. There are no words. There are no words. I'm sorry is not enough, and I have a million emotions, but I would say the desire to go back and undo this would be at the top."
The Los Angeles Times would describe this case as a Black Mirror-esque killing, noting that the story highlighted the extreme lengths creators would go to.
Nah, dead ass though. That is some Black Mirror shit. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the writers, creators, they come up with telling a story that's similar like this, because this is the thing is, right, this was orchestrated through OnlyFans, through a platform that allows a person to, like, if this was a regulated thing, like ultrally regulated, you had to go through a commission, you had to go through however they handle it in the professional industry. If this was something like that, it's no way that they would allow you to go through a request like this. It's no way. No matter what, you would never be able to go through with duct taping somebody and putting them through 80 folds of saran wrap to the point where they lose oxygen to the brain and they become a vegetable. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is why regulations, like, if you're going to do it, taking the route that has the most regulations, that has the most rules, that has the most protections, not only to protect you, but to protect the people that you're involved with, that you're involving yourself with. You know what I'm saying? Like, doing this without any type of supervision it's always risky, especially when you're doing it with people who are asking you to push the boundaries. Because you see, he lost his life and you lost 4 years from yours and 4 years of being a mom, but it's not full 40. Like I said, she could get out earlier, but the fact that you go through this entire process within itself is ridiculous.
In the name of captivating content. I'm not sure if I agree with that assessment. I don't think Michaela carried out that particular act in the name of content. I think that was more of a byproduct, with the large sums of money Dale was offering her being the obvious main motivation. I do agree with one thing though. OnlyFans is absolutely Black Mirror-esque. Its main offering is adult media that's paired with a potentially sinister combination of companionship services and online relationships, which is all served up in an easily accessible digital format. Not only that, but the age of targeted online advertising has led to OnlyFans permeating much further into your digital life than any of its peers ever has. If you're a man and you fit a certain demographic, scrolling through pretty much any social media service is enough to inundate you with covert ads for OnlyFans, whether or not you've ever even engaged with any of them. Put all this together and you end up with what's undoubtedly the largest scale and most frictionless commodification of human intimacy humanity has ever known. But believe it or not, OnlyFans wasn't always like this. When the platform first launched in 2016, it positioned itself as a competitor to Patreon. It was intended to be used as a method for artists and other creators to share premium content with their fans behind a paywall, and they actually didn't even allow not safe for work content for the first year of their existence. I know that description also perfectly fits Patreon, and because of its similarity to this already well-established and popular platform, OnlyFans wasn't exactly a hit when it first launched. Founder Tim Stokely searched for a solution by taking inspiration from his own past. He had already founded a couple internet adult media platforms, and he noticed that independent, not safe for work creators were searching for a way to monetize their followings without getting too involved in the often dangerous and exploitative adult media industry. So OnlyFans loosened their content guidelines in 2017 and gradually repositioned themselves as the adult version of Patreon. That shift would be furthered when the platform was acquired in 2018 by Leonid Radvinsky, an internet entrepreneur who had founded one of the most popular cam sites of the 2000s. He saw something in the then faltering platform. Its 80-20 revenue split with creators was generous, and since the site had originally been designed to be a Patreon competitor, it had a clean, modern, and functional interface, unlike other adult content platforms. On top of that, the internet had long been prophesized to one day kill the traditional and seedy adult video industry, but nobody really knew how it would happen. Many adult sites let you upload your own content, but they couldn't really offer you much in return for doing so. This was likely the original thought behind Radvinsky's webcam site,
and that was the thing, right? With these amateur sites, like people were just doing it for the love of the game. You know what I'm saying? A check was never guaranteed. Like, you know what I'm saying? Payment was never guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? Compensation was never a thing that people really was even thinking about. They were just they were uploading their shit to the cloud, uploading tapes to the cloud for the love of the game. You know what I'm saying? If you wanted to get paid, if you wanted some form of money, you would have to go through, like he said, those exploitative businesses or exploitative companies that was taking advantage of all these women and stuff like that. But now it's just like the average, I ain't gonna say the average 18-year-old girl, but a lot of 18-year-old girls nowadays, the moment they turn 18, they think that they have this monetary, you know what I'm saying, this monetary thing that they is not even a last ditch resort. They're not even trying that life anymore. They're not trying to go to college. They're not trying to get a job. They're like, as soon as I turn 18, I'm going to OnlyFans because I know that there's a bunch of weird ass men who are going to pay to see boobs. That's just how it is. That's how this timeline is that we're in. That's just how it is. So now that's what people are doing. They're not doing it for the love of the game. They're doing it for the love of the check. Love of the money, love of the fame, the notoriety that comes with it. That's what's happening.
To allow models to have lucrative careers that completely bypass the old school adult industry. And while that project is still running to this day and is undoubtedly successful, it never really garnered much of a mainstream reputation, and thus never escaped the all-encompassing vortex of shadiness perpetuated by the adult media industry. OnlyFans, on the other hand, would. During the pandemic, when basically everyone was locked up at home with little to do and even fewer ways to make money, the platform would explode. They may have had 13.5 million users in 2019, but by 2022, that number had grown to 238 million.
And like, if you look 13.5 M 2019, 82.3 million in 2020 when the fucking pandemic happened. Like, brother, like, let's be honest. Like, men, we were always gooners. We were always, you know what I'm saying? Actually, we weren't gooners. This goon shit happened in circa 2020, 2021, like around that time. Being in the house for so long with no human connection, no human interaction, not going into the real world, just being trapped in your house for a lot of men was one of the worst things to ever happen to humanity. It's bad because people didn't have nothing to do but be online, be on the internet, to find and discover things. You know what I'm saying? To search for things. And it's just like it's done nothing but bring back negative return. Like, that shit cooked. Like, look at this. You can literally see the trajectory. How do you go from fucking 82.3 million to 188 million in a fucking year? In a year. That does not make sense. That fucking plus 509% COVID surge, that's not normal. That's like everybody knows growth, especially in certain shit like this, should be gradual. I'm not surprised that it went up. You know what I'm saying? It's porn, it's men, they go hand in hand in today's time. So it was only a matter of time for it to go up. But to go up that drastically is insane. Like, if COVID didn't exist, I don't even think it'd see that big of a spike. It would have blew eventually. It would be on the rise gradually, but to blow up at the rate that it did because of the world being shut down and being forced to stay indoors, this shit cooked men. It cooked men bad.
A whopping 3% of humanity. Not only did they achieve that insane level of market penetration, but the platform also somehow managed to gain an identity as a less shameful adult media platform. It's considered funny for Linus Tech Tips to ironically make an OnlyFans profile, but if he did the same thing on the hub, the joke would take on a bit of a weirder tone. OnlyFans becoming somewhat socially acceptable would lead to an enormous amount of regular everyday people to try their hand at becoming adult content creators on the internet. individuals who likely never would have even thought about it if OnlyFans didn't exist, resulting in a new kind of not safe for work content creator. While traditional adult media is more or less relegated to their own special corners of the internet, the people making money on OnlyFans would try something new. They'd harness the power of mainstream social media to shove their content in everyone's faces. It would start with Reddit, with OnlyFans models taking over the not safe for work side of the platform. As you can imagine, it was unusual for real women to be hanging around these more unsavory subreddits, so posts that are thinly veiled OnlyFans advertisements proved to be consistently popular. With such effective free marketing, Reddit would become a logical starting point for new OnlyFans models to jumpstart their careers, but other social media platforms would soon enter the mix.
Twitter.
While the content on Reddit was explicit in nature, this sort of thing isn't allowed on more conventional social media platforms. This may have been a hindrance for a short time, but eventually OnlyFans models would find ways to advertise on Instagram, TikTok, and even Facebook. Instead of merely reposting explicit OnlyFans content like they did on Reddit, creators would instead make new, safe for work but suggestive material to post.
They call that shit goon bait. Literally, that's all. I'm not gonna say all that's on social media, but depending on your algorithm, depending on the shit that you interact with, gang, you like one booty picture, that's your whole feed for the next week. That's your whole feed for the next week, and then all of it is just goon bait. It's they have posts that make you wanna leave that app and go somewhere else, if you know what I'm saying. Literally, that's all their post is. It's just all goon bait.
On the various conventional social media platforms. It could be as covert as a get ready with me video that is careful to only show off certain angles, or it can be as obvious as a dance video with text that asks the viewer to click the chili pepper link in their bio. If you can believe it, this social media marketing aspect of OnlyFans has taken on a life of its own, with the gooner side of social media becoming its own ecosystem. While it does always lead back to OnlyFans, there are countless more users who only follow these marketing accounts purely for the suggestive but safe for work content. If you read the relationship subreddit at all, you'll encounter many stories where women go through their partner's phones and are horrified when they see the accounts they follow on Instagram and TikTok.
And my thing is, though, it's like I could see both sides of it, because one, if you're in a relationship, you shouldn't be looking at those things. You shouldn't be involving yourself with those things, giving those things your time, your energy, your seed. You shouldn't be doing that. But at the same time, a lot of these situations, those are failed relationships. If we're being honest, like a perfect relationship doesn't exist, but the closest thing to a perfect relationship is everybody's taken care of. Everybody feels good. Nobody feels the need to go search for something elsewhere, whether they're searching for it in another person or searching for it in themselves. You know what I'm saying? So I believe that's why. But I think we get the gist. It's your boy RushMoreRick. If you enjoyed the reaction video, like, comment, subscribe, and stay your ass off fucking OnlyFans. We're out of here. Peace.